Hey everybody, this is Dan with Adventuring Today. Hope you're doing great. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Today we're here to talk about cold air intakes. And as you can see, I have got the S&B Cold Air Intake on my 3.5 liter EcoBoost Ford F-150. I've got a 2023 F-150 with about 45,000 miles on it. And approximately half those miles were prior to the cold air intake, which I got the cold air intake in November of last year at 28,055 miles. And since then, I've put on 27,053 miles on my Tremor. And so it's a pretty equal amount of mileage. Just so you know, I drive very consistently every single day. I've got the same commute to work, which is where most of my miles get logged on my truck. And I do some driving on the weekends to and from sports events and so forth, but that's pretty consistent over the course of a 12-month time period with my kids. And there haven't been a lot of like really unique situations with my truck other than some really bad mileage that we got out in Moab with this intake this past summer. And it wasn't because of the intake, it's just the fact that we were driving 2 miles per hour in really rugged off-road conditions for hours and hours a day. And that's why you see a low gas mileage. And I'll show you that here in a few seconds. Now, the app that I'm using is called Road Trip. I've used this app for years and years, and you can see all my different vehicles on here that I've logged with this app. Down here at the bottom, we've rented RVs, and I've actually tracked the mile per gallon that we've gotten on those. I had a Corvette, Ford Flex, a couple Audis, another rental of an RV. But then up here at the top, you see my most recent vehicles, the top four. 2016 F-150 is my son's, 22 Expedition is my wife's, 23 Ford Tremor is mine, and then we just picked up this Audi S5. We got a great screaming deal on it and just kind of having some fun with that one. And I'll do some videos on that probably down the road. But anyway, this app is fantastic. And so what I'm going to do here is go into the Ford Tremor section. And so I've got this pre-programmed, you can see, from before I purchased the car to November the 4th of 2023. And so what this is going to show you is my gas mileage over that time period since I bought the car. Now, I've averaged, you see there in the middle, 18.43 miles per gallon since I purchased this truck on the OEM intake. Now, and get to the real juicy part here, so I'm gonna flip over to another screen real quick into my photos. Since November 4th of 2023, I put the intake on and I've averaged 18.80 miles per gallon. And then you can see in that bottom right-hand corner there, where if you look right here, that is Moab. So all these miles per gallon right here are Moab. Those are our trips out to Moab. And so they were, got pretty bad gas mileage out there, but that's not the intake's fault. That was just because we were spending a bunch of time off-roading. And so it's been just a fantastic experience with this intake. Now, if we go back to prior to owning the intake on the truck, my best miles per gallon were 22.1. The best on the OEM intake, the S&B intake was 21.7. So say, hey, maybe a little bit less on the high end. This trip right here could have been it very well could have been some tailwind or something like that, kind of like an anomaly. But so we did get one that was like quite a bit better than the S&B. But when you average it all together, the S&B's average is 18.8. And I wanted to look at some other things too with you real quick, and that is my cost per mile. So if we flip over here to this page, what you're going to find is that my cost per mile was 17.8 miles or pennies per mile. And so you'll find that right here on that page, right here, 17.8 per mile. So pretty interesting, I think, from an OEM perspective. Now let's jump over to the intake, and with the S&B intake, I'm at a 16.9 per mile. So that's important because you want that number to come down a little bit. Now I did some rough calculating on what I've spent per gallon over the course of time, and the average price per gallon when prior to owning the intake was $3.28 a gallon. The average price per gallon that I've paid with the intake is $3.18. That might attribute a little bit to the lower cost per mile, but there is a little bit of savings there, I think, with the better gas mileage on the whole. And so I don't know if this would pay for itself over the long haul. Maybe if you owned it for 300,000 or 400,000 miles, it would, but there is a little bit of a cost savings. Figure approximately a half a penny to 3/4 a penny per mile, which isn't too bad, So anyway, I just want to share that quick video with you because number one, I love this app called Road Trip. I think it's just a fantastic app to use to track, your mile per gallon of your cars, if that's something that you like to do. But also, I have seen a little bit of a pickup in miles per gallon on the whole with this S&B intake, which I think is pretty fun. So I think to wrap up this video, what I wanted to do also was just kind of share with you some of the things you can do with this app. So let's just go back to the app here, and I'm going to show you, this is a picture of all of my fill-up since the day that I bought this truck. And what's interesting, I think, at the very top is you can see the cost per gallon and how that changes over time. And then you can kind of see how the fuel mileage has worked over the course of time also. You can flip through a couple of these different screens. If you just want to focus on miles per gallon, you've got that one. If you want to just look at gas cost, you can look at this one. I've paid as low as $2.36 per gallon. I've paid as high as $3.70. Quite a big range there, but that's what I've done. And then over here is the average cost per mile. So I've averaged on the right-hand side there, 17.3 cents per gallon has been my cost at this truck. And then over here is my miles per week. And so what you can kind of see to the left half of the screen is, I would say in general, I might have had a little bit of a higher mileage per week over there than I do on the right side, with the exception of a couple of these like longer trips that we went on here more recently. But, it's kind of an interesting way you can use this app. Then you can also customize, different time periods. So here is like what I've done in the past month. And so these are all my fill-ups in the Tremor in the past month. And, and then you can just kind of scroll through these same things and see what your cost was and so forth if you want to look over the past month. You've got these screens over here where you can go through and look at, all your previous fill-ups and what kind of gas mileage that you got over that time. This is how I use the app. I think it's pretty neat. It's free. I think it's free to download. I think I might pay $5.99 a year or something really cheap like that to use it the way I do. But anyway, it also backs itself up. So I'm showing you this screen right now off of my iPad, but I actually enter everything on my phone, and then it uses Dropbox to sync your devices. And so as soon as I enter in a fill-up on my phone, then 30 seconds later, I can go to my iPad and I will see that update right here on the iPad. So when you then go to get a new device, I've gotten probably 6 phones since I've started using this app. Everything is stored at Dropbox, or you can store it in the cloud, iCloud, and then when you get your new phone, you just log right back into your account, and there all your information is backed up on all of your vehicles. And like I say, these are all the vehicles that we've either owned or rented over that time, and I've got every single one in here. So, what I thought was kind of interesting is if I go to my 2020 dually, on the right-hand side, I average 14.3 miles per gallon. I'm towing a fifth wheel. All those really low mile per gallons you see on there are all of our fifth wheel trips. but I averaged 14.3. And then if I go to my 2017 F250, this was also a diesel motor, but it had the 6-speed transmission. This was a single rear axle. This one I was pulling a travel trailer, a heavy travel trailer, about 11,000 pounds. Again, you can see that where all those towing trips were, where those numbers are really low on mile per gallon. On this one, I averaged 13.9. So I actually got better gas mileage with the dually, 14.3 versus 13.9. And Ford made quite a few improvements to the engine and how the DEF fluid worked with that motor. And also the 10-speed transmission made a big difference. It even compensated for the heavier weight of the dually plus the extra 2 tires on the dually. The gas mileage is actually better, and that fifth wheel weighed about 18,000 pounds when we were loaded. So anyway, it's a great app to use. I'm not here to sell you the app. I'm not affiliated with the app or anything like that, but I know people are going to ask about it because every time I do a video like this, they wonder what kind of app I'm using. But this is it. It's called Road Trip. It's cool. The cold air intake seems like it definitely doesn't hurt gas mileage. It probably helps a little bit. It definitely sounds a little bit better, and it looks cool when you open up the hood to show your friends. So with that, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate your time, and take care. Bye-bye.